r/AskMen. Mamigurumi says, do most men just date the first girl who said yes? I've heard this so many times, in real life and online. In all 4 relationships I've been in, I've asked, so what do you like about me? What makes you want to be in this relationship? Because after a few months, I start to wonder this. I will know why I like the dude and why I want to be in the relationship, but I have no idea what he's thinking/feeling. And they just say, I don't like talking about stuff like that. It gives me the vibe that they don't want to date me as a person specifically, just any girl who's willing to date them. And on AskReddit, when the prompt is, men of Reddit, what do you look for in a partner? The responses are like a pulse, or if they want to date me that's all it takes. Do many men really have no preference when it comes to a partner? I want to believe this isn't true, because I want a relationship with genuine love in it. But you don't really hear about men caring about who their partner is very often. Only these sentiments described above. Tactical Failure 1 says, anyone saying a pulse is saying it in jest of their situation. They are likely frustrated with their dating life and jokingly say at this point I'll take anyone. In real life people have standards. Also you do hear about men caring about who their partner is. Like a lot of men's standards talked online as something I don't want a promiscuous woman, I want someone who is kind, I want someone who is smart. It's very easy to develop a bias towards how you perceive things, based on the media you consume. Kestrel V says, interestingly, no one actually checks for a pulse when dating someone. Displayed 101 says, my wife absolutely loved it when I practiced medical assessments on her when we were dating. Except for when I listen to her belly, she does not like that. Mr. Hamman 80 says, this question makes no sense. If I ask a woman out and she says yes, then of course I'm going to date her. If I didn't, why the heck did I ask her out? How does that conversation go? Hey, want to go out with me? Yes. Actually, don't worry, not interested. That level of dickheadery would require multi-factor authentication just to sign into life in the morning. And on AskReddit, when the prompt is, men of Reddit, what do you look for in a partner? The responses are like a pulse, or if they want to date me that's all it takes. This is either people who are very lonely and just want to be with someone. Or, it's someone who is taking the piss, because the question gets asked all the time and it's a broad one. The vast majority of responses though, are typically not that. I don't like talking about stuff like that. Some people aren't comfortable talking about their feelings. Also some people are, but have trouble putting them into words. Not everyone has a pre-written Hollywood romance speech in their back pocket. So what do you like about me? What makes you want to be in this relationship? Because after a few months, I start to wonder this. If you're starting to wonder this, then perhaps you're having insecurities about the relationship. Maybe those insecurities stem from issues within the relationship that can be resolved, or perhaps they stem from your own insecurities of being appreciated for who you are. Everyone has preferences, all of us. Some of us are really broad in our preferences, others haven't had the experience to truly know what we do and don't like. Even those who feel they're at a point that they'll date anyone will eventually reach a point in a relationship of is this good? Fluffy Ducky says, I have it on fairly good authority you're not supposed to date the ones that say no. Asking Tofferminist says, that level of dickheadery would require multi-factor authentication just to sign into life in the morning. I actually laughed out loud. Thanks for that. Furutum says, you seem to think that many of us have choices of women. Felix Goldenrod says, beggars can't be choosers. Deftverderv 2 says, and sometimes our choices are years apart. Boost says, a lot of men are just looking for someone to build something with. I personally don't believe in the concept of the one. I think we all run into dozens upon dozens of people in our lifetimes which could end up as the one. Life is about who you form connections with, timing, and chance. So I don't think it's a bad thing to say I saw a girl that interests me and she's the first one to show interest back, so I wanted to see where things lead. I have very strict, I think, requirements in a partner, so it's like, when I find someone that meets those initial boxes, not much of the rest matters and I'll start dating them to get to know them better. Alkstagrid says, when we say things like that, it's not like we don't care about who we date. Like obviously we, I care, like we don't want to date someone horrible. We want someone nice, someone who cares about us, who is intimate, etc. It's just what we mean, is most of us just lack options. Like, it's a good week to even get a single compliment from a girl or a like on Tinder. The average guy does not get any attention from women, if you weren't aware. So if I ask out 100 girls, and 99 of them said no, but one said yes, I'll take my chances with the one girl, and see how things go. r/AskMen. Yubba says, what, in your opinion, is a dead giveaway someone has a crush on you? Fred8975 says, saying I have a crush on you and want you to take me out on a date tomorrow to do X at Y time is a solid hint, but experience has shown that it isn't a dead giveaway. Tactical Failure 1 says, experience has shown me. Do you ever think we'd end up together? Said shyly doesn't actually mean they are interested in you. Fred8975 says, experience has shown me that literally laying full body on top of me while she asks me out on a date doesn't actually mean she's interested in me. Secontalan says, I think my wife of 20 years might be into me, but I'm not 100% sure. That's how well I notice. Edward Bliss says, catching them already staring at you. Second glances. Harmless Gecko says, nap, there must be something on my face. Markham says, well, the main one is the extra attention they pay towards you. If they are interested, you best believe they will make that extra bit of effort to let you know something is there, as opposed to having no crush. Dark Doom of Teeth says, looking at you out of a group when something funny is said, or if you say something and their attention immediately turns to you. Physical touch, a hand or arm brush, an elbow, a hand on the arm or knee, etc. There are more subtleties, but you asked for dead giveaways. The most obvious would be they tell you. Bruno Lars says, they are proactive about wanting to see you again. Dasketch says, regardless of whatever detection method you may think you have, they are definitely just being nice. D0Me89 says, repeated eye contact. Jadetsicle9554 says, usually when you ask them out on a date, they say yes. You can try looking for all sorts of hints and signs to try and assure yourself and avoid rejection, but those signs and hints are different for everyone. You have to stop being a conch and take the risk, because most women rarely, if ever, outwardly approach men in a romantic capacity. Thementilia says, there are various signs. A certain look, a certain feeling, a certain presence. I don't really care much, tbh, if I have a crush I'm going for it. Mad87645 says, touching your shoulders when talking to you, especially if they're broad. Girls love them some shoulder squeezes. Even Insta says, you just know. You'll probably doubt yourself, but you'll know, because she will be giving you what you might find an unusual amount of attention. Lots of text messages or an unexpected thoughtful gift from her should make her thoughts on you clear enough for you to know. My ex liked to bake, and one morning I found a gift bag with a note hanging on my mailbox. She dropped me off some homemade chocolate marshmallow squares. Also when she starts sending lots of memes and I'm texting back and forth constantly and I find myself thinking of an excuse to stop texting for a while, it's a given. The Count Not the Saint says, I'm not that funny. Motinal Negru says, anything less than trying to grab my crotch or ass is disqualified from being a dead giveaway. Craig Lapison says, lol, we were talking. Felt a really good vibe, but felt it was too forward to ask her out. Then she suddenly suggests we should meet. We even planned a date almost immediately after the date. Crushing on her so bad, and it feels mutual. Prab Who For All says, when she's riding my face. People can have sex without being attracted to the other person. But face riding is a guaranteed giveaway of a crush. r/AskMen. Hot Cassie 766 says, men who have found the Reddit account of people you know eye roll. What did you find? Displacer 613 says, my wife came across her father's Reddit account a couple months ago and periodically checks it to reply to his comments to help him with his mental health through the guise of a stranger because it means more to him if it comes from someone he feels isn't just telling him what he wants to hear. Sobishad says, a chick I hooked up with's OnlyFans. We stayed friends and we are both open with our sexuality, so I mentioned it and she gave me free access. Woodsfinder says, nothing of any particular interest. Cityfire Guy says, some days you're just scrolling and you see a friend or online acquaintance pushing their nudes for sale. Then it happens a second time and you start questioning things. Is it the circles I run in? Is it the economy? Lot of women selling nudes these days. Supreme Elect says, an old co-worker of mine asked for advice on his Bumble profile. The most interesting thing that stood out to me was his use of a very old picture of him in a group photo filled with people who weren't his friends. Imagine your work makes you take a company holiday picture and you upload that to your dating profile. Without context, it'll come across as if you're really close to all the people in the picture, when the reality is you really couldn't care less about them. That's the kind of picture he used. Also, he was a lot more put together online and seemed like more of a catch than he was in person. Bobface222 says, I still see a former friend who uses the same name for literally everything, posting occasionally in some gaming subs that we are both a part of, but nothing too exciting, and he has no way of knowing who I am. 1968 Full Album says, an old high school friend, Ash, of mine was in the news for a very unpleasant death by cop. His own fault. He became a real scumbag. On a Reddit thread about it, I found another user who said he went to high school with the guy. Turns out it was someone I was pretty close friends with for most of middle and high school. I check it every year or so, but he only really posts about sports, which are of no interest to me, and local politics. He still lives there, I don't. Great guy though, miss him. Infamous Echo 2961 says, didn't look, that's their business. Royoni Unbreath says, found an account of someone I knew from high school in my childhood city's sub when a thread came up about the suburb we grew up in. One person was in my grade, based on other subs they were posting in, and info that I recognized. She was apparently quietly out, but that wasn't a very surprising fact. Another guy had a very distinct first name that he used in his username, and he was a few years below me. There wasn't anything all too surprising. It was funny seeing him on CNN one time arguing with some pastor about his atheist community group's public advertising. Improver for 5054 says, I found my doctor on a dating website. Didn't do much, but look the profile over. I can see why she's single. Cyanora says, I found a few who are way into conspiracies and a few more who have major NSFW streaks. Drabba Sakrabin says, I know my exes, who I introduced to Reddit, and she fell in love with it. It's always funny, sometimes we comment in the same subs and I'll see a comment and realize it's from her account. Always funny to me. Feverage Dick says, a friend had been on the hunt for the secrets to increase his load size for like 6 years, over 200 posts. Optimally ET says, the same boring shit they talk about, eye roll. They even put their real name in their handle. Mr. Super Light says, I've always wondered about this. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.